name is Crystal and welcome back to our YouTube channel, Bible-Based Teens. Today is Sunday, December the 21st, and this is our new scripture verse for this week. And before we get started, I just want to say that if you like the content of this channel, go ahead and like and subscribe so you can get our new content week after week. And don't forget, if you have any comments, place them in the comment section below so we can get the conversation started. So let's get to it. So our new scripture verse for this week is going to be Isaiah chapter 58, verse 11. And the scripture reads, "The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land, and it will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail." So the book of Isaiah was originally written in Hebrew by the prophet Isaiah from Judah, who was one of the major prophets of the Old Testament in the Bible. And he's actually known as the Messianic prophet because he prophesied so much about Jesus. And so overall in verse 11, this is actually God speaking to Isaiah and telling him that the people, they follow a lot of religious actions outwardly, but inwardly they lack true spiritual righteousness. And so in verse 11, this is actually a larger part of a thought that God was making. And God was ultimately saying that if the people turn away from their evil ways and seek his face by doing away with outward unrighteousness, then in verse 11, he promises to give them the things that will keep them renewed constantly. And so this begs the question, what areas in our lives do we lack true spiritual righteousness, and how can we draw nearer to God in those areas and promote inward spiritual renewal instead of just outward ritual? So this scripture can be broken into two parts. The first part talks about the Lord doing certain things for us, promising us to guide us, to satisfy us, to strengthen us. And the second part talks about the things that we will become after the Lord fulfills his promises to us. So essentially the Lord is going to fulfill both our physical and spiritual needs, and we will be like a well-watered garden representing renewal and life. And when I think about a spring or a garden that's well-watered, I think about something that's watered from the inside out. And so this begs the question, who are we watering, and are we bringing life to those around us, or are we bringing something else? And what does it look like to be constantly renewed by God daily? Some of the words that stood out to me in Hebrew include the word guide, which is nachaka, which can also mean lead, and the Hebrew word hispia, which means to satisfy, the deepest parts of our soul. And lastly, the Hebrew word matzah, which means spring or fountain, and interestingly occurs in Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 when the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. So now this begs the question, are we maintaining a connection with God in such a way that he's able to satisfy the deepest parts of our soul? I just want to say Merry Christmas and thank you so much for joining.